This is CMN. This is Canadian MGTOW. Having fun, and not giving a shit. Perhaps A&D should have kept the cameras rolling. My first story is about an award-winning Connecticut cop who was on an A&E reality TV show called Live PD. The officer had just arrested a man for domestic violence. A few hours later, after taping was finished, Sergeant Stacy Leon broke into her ex-boyfriend's home and assaulted him after finding him with another woman. Last year this officer had won an award for heroism, and also that same year was sued along with two other cops for beating a woman in a restaurant in 2014. The charges against Stacy were dismissed after she had completed the family violence counseling program. No word if the man she arrested on the same show had the same deal. If anyone is unfortunate enough to be arrested by a female cop, and hear the phrase "anything you say can or will be held against you," be sure to answer with the word tits. One of my pet peeves is the constant feminist claptrap about violence against women, with the woman always being the victim, and the male as the perpetrator. Various studies show women instigating violence between 40% and 50% of the time. Not to mention domestic violence among lesbian couples is double the rate as us normies. At any rate, the next story will help open the eyes of those that dismiss domestic violence against men as silly, or disbelieve just because the man is typically larger and stronger than the woman. Rob Ryan was beaten to a pulp by his girlfriend in an unprovoked attack with a 25-pound dumbbell. He also had a wine bottle smashed over his head, was battered with a stool, and even bitten by his partner Angelique. She then used the shards of glass and started slashing at his body. In the article Rob stated, "I was taking blood-thinning medication for my heart condition and she knew that heavy bleeding could be potentially fatal for me." Those that would say that Rob should have been able to man up and defend himself should note that Rob is no average guy. Rob was a war veteran who served in Afghanistan, Bosnia and Northern Ireland. Rob stated, "I'd battled in war zones on the front line. I didn't expect to be attacked by the person who was supposed to love me." The former soldier shared his story to urge other male victims of domestic violence to speak out. As for Angelique, she got sentenced to a mere 20 months in prison for the charge of actual bodily harm. You can be damn sure if the genders were reversed, the sentence would have been much stiffer, and treated as attempted murder. No normal man would want to be with either of the women in these two stories. So what are these members of the Parasitic Vagina Owners Club to do after being charged? Why, they can get married to themselves. Cosmopolitan magazine writer, Abigail Pester, not to be confused with Bester, which probably has more brain matter than the writer or the subject, wrote about women dedicating their lives to self-love. Or, "That's sweet." As if society didn't venerate women enough as it is. In a stunning show of narcissism and mental issues, Erica Anderson put on a vintage-style white wedding dress, stood before a circle of her closest friends, and committed herself to herself.
"I choose you today,"
she said. Later she tossed the bouquet to friends and downed 2 shots of whiskey, one for herself and one for herself. She had planned the event for weeks, sending invitations, finding the perfect dress, writing her vows, buying rosé and fresh baguettes and fruit tarts from a French bakery. For the decor, an array of shot glasses emblazoned with the words "You and Me." In each one, a red rose.
"It wasn't an easy decision,"
she'd noted on the wedding invitations.
"I had cold feet for 35 years. But then I decided it was time to settle down. To get myself a whole damn apartment. To celebrate birthday number 36 by wearing an engagement ring and saying yes to me. I even made a registry, because this is America.
No, you made a registry, because you are a materialistic wench. One night at a bar, when a man noticed the engagement ring and asked, "Who's the lucky guy?" Erica looked at her hand and quipped,
Myself.
She said it jokingly. But then she started to think about it. Why not commit to herself? So there you have it. What started as a joke, came to fruition. If she can't celebrate putting her ball and chain on a man, she will still insist on some excuse for having her own special day during which she's the center of attention. The behavior is an example of the spoiled princess mentality taken to an extreme. I blame mothers for raising girls up to be this sort of brat. I have seen several articles on this topic, and ask, is it a coincidence that they're all women?
For so many years, people had been telling me I was a great catch.
Erica Anderson says.
I caught myself.
Hopefully she's not related to Glenn Anderson, one of the great hockey players of the 1980s Edmonton Oilers. I'm Canadian MGTOW, more news and my goddamn opinion later on this CMN station.